This truck is bisexual. You can have your 6 in the V or long and straight. I don't know if the bricklayers on the job site are going to be able to deal with that. I'm Al Alder, and today on Driving.ca, we are outside Austin, Texas in the 2025 Ram 1500. Better still, I got the good one because this is a base as they come Tradesman trim. This is the Ram that matters. This isn't the white hard hats, Longhorn, or Tungsten. No, this work truck trim is the one that all of your fleet managers are going to buy for you guys to work on your utilities. The 25 Ram is not all new. It's a facelift of the existing 5th generation that's been with us for many years now. But it marks a very significant step because the V8 is gone. Dunzo. There is no more 5.7. No, you get in its place a straight 6 twin turbo 3-liter. Alternatively, you can get that base Pentastar V6, the 3.6, that we've known forever. And when it's not spinning left camshafts, it does a pretty good job. First thing I noticed climbing into this thing, this is a work truck with dual pane glass. It's really unusually quiet in here. Even with tires ramped up just shy of 40 PSI, this thing is steady, it's stable, it's easy going, it's very plush. It feels like I'm riding on air suspension, but this base truck doesn't even have that option. No, it's just steady. We've got that 5-link coil sprung rear. We've got double wishbone fronts with big, beefy aluminum lowers, in fact, which really helps to reduce that unsprung mass. It makes everything a lot less hop-skippy than you'd expect of what is a full-size half-ton. And then there's the engine. The V8 is gone. Rip in peace, 5.7. We will miss you, but I've got to say straight away, this Hurricane is looking to be off to a pretty promising start. Running a very undersquare 3 liters in a classically steady and smooth straight configuration, this here Hurricane puts out more power than you ever got out of a 5.7. That is, of course, because it's twin turbocharged. The front 3 cylinders get their own turbine, the back 3 get their own turbine. These feed a proper dual exhaust. You have 2 full-size pipes running through the entire frame. No, it doesn't feel like the V8. The torque curve is different. There's a different snappiness. It's not quite that same confident but slow build. No, torque ramps up when you ask for it, and it's so enjoyable. Here in the base truck, the SST straight 6 turbo, that's 420 horsepower and 469 pound-feet of torque. That's just the little guy though, because this 3-liter engine also comes in a high output variant. That thing, oh boy, 540 horse, 521 pound-feet. That is a lot of torque. And following similar to what we had before, your tow rating is just shy of 12,000 pounds. This is actually a bit of a step down, although according to Ram and their customer research, that's still a good bit above the usual cap of 10,000 pounds that buyers in this segment actually end up towing. Just for a moment's perspective against all these numbers too, outgoing 5.7 made at its peak 395 horse and 410 pound-feet of torque. That's a platform that started development 20 years ago though, and in this modern age of emissions, the large displacement just wasn't cutting it anymore. But that raises a really big question though, because part of what we liked about the 5.7, part of what kept it around so long, is the trustworthiness, the straightforwardness of natural aspiration. Here we've got 2 turbos. We've got a very high state of tune. The HOs are putting out more power than a BMW M3 comp. It's a lot of juice. And that also means a lot of heat. Heat and turbos, of course, don't always get along so long, and turbos aren't cheap. So, how is Ram trying to comfort us and reassure us that this isn't just gonna burn through bits? Well, according to engineers that we've spoken to today, they've subjected this rig to what they say is their most comprehensive and challenging set of test routines yet. Pulling up some test bench footage, they were particularly proud to show us these engines being run right up in the revs in a very aggressive test rig that was tossing and turning it across all axes, far beyond any pitch or roll that you would ever actually experience driving it in a truck. Instead of inefficient old air-to-air cooling, we've got liquid-to-air cooling. This combines too with a particularly emphatic use of EGR. EGR is important not just because it burns off particulates or anything like that. No, because so much of our exhaust is actually just moisture that separates out in the combustion process, that puts water vapor through the powertrain, which soaks up more heat to spit more of that out. Combined with very high injection pressures that let the engine wait until the very last possible moment to actually inject the fuel, this reduces knock, and as a result, wasted energy and efficiency. This keeps it more powerful and more economical. Also potentially welcome, depending on your preferences, is that this remains a straight ICE powertrain. There is no hybridization here. Whereas the Toyota iForce Max puts out a little bit more torque in the Tundra. There it's 583 pound-feet, albeit a little less horsepower than the HO puts out in this. You've got a simple, straightforward setup, and thanks to that straight line configuration, one that simplifies construction and maintenance because there's only one head, and one that leaves a lot more room on either side of the engine for those of you who actually have to work on these things. So, powertrain, that's all fun. Transmission, same as in all of these, same as in the Hellcat, same as in Jaguars. It's the ZF 8HP. This is a very smooth shifting transmission. It's a sealed system, which not all of us love, but it's a really well-proven setup. Gearing, 321 and 392 continue, but they've also added another ratio for those looking for something in between, a little more balance. They've now added 355. So, power cool, powertrain interesting, we'll see how it pans out. What's interesting too though is the modern suite of equipment this thing gets. Even in this base trim, we now have adaptive cruise control as standard. We have a lot of driver assists and safety functions. This is particularly valuable as truck footprints have grown, basically to sidestep environmental requirements, and it introduces a lot for those of you who are driving into urban job sites like motorcyclist and particularly cyclist detection and emergency braking. Also notable is emergency steering intervention. You see, Ram engineers are very insistent that they don't want these trucks to do anything that would surprise a driver because, in their view, that would erode trust. So, this takes driver's inputs and then follows through if or when the driver freezes up. In the case of automatic braking assistance, that means that if you start to swerve and then hesitate, it will continue that swerve around the obstacle or oncoming car. We've also got blind spot indicators and the usual lot. The tech count for safety features in this thing is now headed up toward 100. It's a lot of kit. And of course, that is something you pay for. As you get into the higher trims too, that continues because Ram is finally chasing after GM with its Super Cruise tech, and now in the Limited, Longhorn, or new Capstone Tungsten trims, we've got Level 2 and Level 2 Plus driver assistance. That means eyes ahead, but hands-off driver assist. For Level 2, that means steering assisted lane keeping along with your usual adaptive cruise and all of that. Level 2 Plus, however, like Super Cruise, means that on pre-mapped routes through Canada and the US, you can actually take the hands off. It'll tell you when to do it, and it'll take care of everything else for you. You still have to keep eyes on the road. It allows you 5 seconds to look at the screens or stuff before it'll bing or buzz you. But this is a big step forward for the brand. Beyond this, it becomes dressing because the modern era of pickups is high margin comforts, luxuries, and extras. Ram's done a really good job with a lot of this. Its materials have just been getting better and better, and this latest generation in the higher trims feel better still. This here work truck is work truck trim. It doesn't feel anything special. It's a fleet spec, and that's fine. This all feels what I would expect, what I would want of a truck that I'm gonna go sandblasting in and then scuff every surface with filth. That's perfect. Higher trims though, we're now getting into 24-way power front seats. We're getting into seat massagers. We're getting into a secondary display over on the passenger side that they can plug an HDMI into their phone on, and that has privacy glass so that it doesn't distract the driver from over here. We've got 3 available center screen sizes, starting from this base 8.5 inch, going up to 12, and then beyond to some 14 inches. It's a lot of real estate, and the new Uconnect 5 system, which is built on Android Auto, is now keeping pace with the likes of General Motors. It's slick, it's smooth, it does what it needs to, and you've got redundant controls for certain things if you want. I like that we've just got single zone. We've got a 3-dial climate setup in here. That's perfect. And then, what do we make of this? Well, it's a pretty impressive facelift. This is one of the more satisfying facelifts actually that I've driven of late. even in this base spec. It's a simple build, but it's really richly equipped. This isn't the deal that you're going to get out of the Ram Classic, and there again, it's appreciated that that base beater truck is still available so readily. But for modern roads, this 25 Ram with your choice of 6 is a really unusually modern and progressive approach for Ram. I'm excited for this truck, and I look forward to more time with it at home. For Driving.ca, I'm Al Alder. For more pickup news, reviews, first drives, previews, specs, and all the rest, be sure to follow us online on Driving.ca and check out our socials over on Instagram and Twitter.